So the topic that we have a WoW topic,
Okay.
but it's one of these that we like to apply with real life stuff. So today,
So basically, you're and I's favorite, Russ.
Right?
so today we decided we had to do a cast today, and I told Ubia you gotta wait a little bit because I wasn't expecting it, and I was hanging with a buddy, and we were playing
Okay.
some games, and then I turned off the game and I switched over to TV mode, and immediately I was watching a movie came on that I'd never seen before, but we were both like, huh, okay, let's watch this movie. This looks really good. And it's one of those movies that was like, I really liked the movie. I caught the last
Bryce,
hour
I hope
of it.
you're recording right now.
I am.
Okay, good.
Okay.
I caught the last hour of it, never heard it before, but it was great. It was called The Way, Way Back. I don't know if you've heard that movie before.
I have not, no.
It's
okay.
basically it's about this kid who's like really awkward and lame, and there's some notable actors in it. There's Steve Carell's
Carell.
in it, Toni Collette, Sam Rockwell.
I believe Dax Shepard, or is it Sam Rockwell or Dax Shepard?
Of course, you'll be seeing it.
Sam Rockwell. Who's Owen.
And Sam Rockwell is an amazing actor.
Yeah.
And he's like the shepherd throughout the movie.
So anyways, the whole movie's about this kid and his family go to like some summer house, and the mom is divorced of the kid. Doesn't like the dad, like this father-in-law. His other dad doesn't want him. So basically, like he gets to know this guy who runs the water park, basically. And it's all about like how he like finds his own like route and finds his own people, and turns from like this awkward guy that doesn't really have a home to someone that does have a home, and like a home outside of a home, basically. You know what I mean?
Like he finds his place, which isn't where you would normally expect it to be.
Oh my God, we're gonna make this a WoW analogy.
Yeah, so we're gonna bring that into WoW and talk about how like
Right, so
clothing
really,
and,
you
like,
really don't
brackets.
see the
Oh, no,
similarities.
I can't wait. I cannot wait.
So that so this is gonna get juicy. This is
Alright,
is
well-
like raw.
That's prime material.
This is
Alright, then this is what I'm
rare
gonna
steak.
do then. I think right now, Buns, I don't really want to fucks with that intro. It's amazing. Let's just get right into it. Fuck everything we would normally do. Where do you guys want to start?
Oof. HB, you want to lead off on this? Because I feel like that you got the inspiration here. I'm like, that'll just fire us up. I'd say go for it.
Okay, so where I think we should start with this one. For me personally, it's like I'll start here. You know, like World of Warcraft for me is a home away from home, and you got so many people that you play the game. I mean, I think there's a lot of people that come to WoW for content, but really at the end of the day, it's you play World of Warcraft because the people that you play with want you to keep playing, and you want to play with those people, and you enjoy spending your time with them, etc. So I think that right there, that's the hook for WoW. And while like WoW, I think is suffering in content and like actual like PvP and PvE, like it's the hype right now for Warlords of Draenor has been garrisons, and that says a lot about the expansion. So from another angle though, WoW's still doing really good. You know what I mean? Like they're still making a ton of money. It's like I didn't want to take in that quite of a look, but I guess what I'm saying
Your
is
point stands. Yeah.
people are playing WoW because of the community of World of Warcraft, whatever it is, whether they be in a PvE raiding guild, whether they're playing PvP, whether they're doing twinks, whether they're role-playing on Moonguard. Like, there's so many different, like, venues that you have in World
Well, that's
of Warcraft.
also a very fucking awesome thing about this game. It's like, Rise, how long have we known each other?
Going back to, gosh, it's been like 6 years, maybe. It was been 2010. It's like 2010, 2009, somewhere around there.
And what has been the connective tissue throughout all those years?
Shamus.
Okay, yes, we have an unhealthy love for the class of chamois. But
As the larger thing of the whole, though, World of Warcraft is what brought us together and gave us an immense launch pad by which all things sprouted.
But I kind of, when I was trying to spit it to, and you just terribly yes-anded that, but I'll let you go with it, was the fact that HB was talking about like different things, whether you're raiding or whatever. We're twinking. And no matter what we've done, no matter where we've gone, we've always somehow ended up right back at the same place. You playing a chamois in this group? Yes. Are you playing a chamois in this group? Yes. Should we try and get these games going? Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. But I would take that even a step further and say that if it had not been for World of Warcraft, there wouldn't, and because I spent a lot of time in WoW before I took a break starting in December, I wouldn't have gotten into Hearthstone, and I wouldn't have gotten into other stuff except for people that I met in the World of Warcraft community, and I should say in different sub-communities, especially in the twink communities, who were like, hey, let's go try this. I'm like, I don't want to give that a shot. Like, come on, stop being a wuss, give it a shot. I'm like, I don't know, I don't want to lose my life to Hearthstone. So here I am.
And wait, no, see, Rise, I feel like this strengthens my point.
Inadvertently, yes.
Because I mean, this is the thing. It's like we met each other 6 years ago, and we always did chamois. And what do I play when we play Hearthstone now?
And I feel ashamed because it's like you play your chamois.
And what do you? Fucking traitor.
Dude, I'm like so close. Like I've almost got enough dust to get the legendaries I need to play a legit chamois deck.
Yeah, but I don't use those legendaries. You don't need them. But that's neither here nor there. It's the point that kind of is what HB started at. It's that the people are really what it is. And it's like Rise, like you and I, Rise, I feel like really we're like example A. Like I dare people to find example B. And if you want to find example B, guess what? It's me and HB.
Well, and there it is, right? I was listening to the podcast like of the last couple of weeks. I'm halfway through last week's podcast, and you were talking about how 19s have got more activity now than they had back in Wrath. I mean, 19s pushed hard in Wrath. You know, I'm not taking anything away from that. But to hear that you had triple pops going on over the weekend, oh my goodness. Like I'm really impressed with how 19s have come along. And beyond that, it was last week's podcast really opened my eyes on how things can change in ways that we don't expect, even after years of thinking things work a certain way. Like the Good Games 19 project, one of the cardinal rules of twinking was if you're going to sponsor a twink, chances are they're going to show up for a couple weeks and then disappear. Well, guess what?
Yes.
19s are showing up in a tour de force.
You know
And
what?
I'm like,
Bonds, I would love it if you can talk on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the big asterisk, I think, to go exactly off what you said, is that people would leave, and for whatever reason. The huge asterisk on this whole GG19 movement is no one expects you to stay, and that sounds really weird. So hang on a second. So the project, basically, you go to twinkinfo.com, and this is great. This is going to go exactly into what we're talking about. So you go to twinkinfo.com. They have GG19 at the top of the page. All they ask you to do is to fill out a respectable application. You fill out an application, you make it look respectable, more than likely you're going to get funded a twink. You get funded a twink, fully enchanted, fully geared. They offer you people that you can go to talk to about getting implemented in the bracket or in guilds, etc. And then you're kind of on your way. They don't keep people in the guild, which is different, because a lot of people have these whole guilds where it's like, hey, we're going to fund a lot of people and we want people to be under our name tag, but that's not the project. And that's so unique to any other project because it's a launching pad. It's a launching pad. It's not somewhere where they have to dock.
And it really is unique because, Rise, I know just from you and I doing this sponsor thing, but I'm going to even go further back than that when like Brumble was doing like the classy pizza shit. And sponsored a whole bunch of motherfuckers. But it never worked out. And what I'm seeing from this GG19 project is something that I didn't even know could happen. It's like, not only are people getting funded, not only people are getting their tunes, they're appreciating them and playing them on a regular basis.
They're having fun with it. It was exactly the point there. I was really impressed. I was really impressed with that.
And you got to give. I mean, there's a lot of people that donated money to make this project happen and make it a continuous effort that's going to keep going in the future. But at the end of the day, you got to give credit to the main man who's like pulling this all together, and that's Conk. And Conk has been doing an extraordinary job at really getting the help from the community, getting everyone on board, getting the project moving. So
it's such a monumental effort to even begin to think about doing it. And then you're going to be like, oh, we're going to actually try and make it work. And then not only be like, oh, it's going to work in my eyes, but work in the eyes of the people that are funded.
And you know what? Going back to like what I was saying earlier, it's like the reason why this works and we're seeing so much success is because they're not asking you to stay. They're not asking you to be in the guild. It's a launching pad. They want people to get geared so that they have a better chance in the bracket and can find their own path in the bracket. And that's exactly what we're talking about here. Like, once you get involved in a community, there's so many different branches just within one bracket. There's so many different ways you can go in avenues and guilds. And this project is the launching pad for that opportunity.
You know,
go ahead.
Rise, I just want to ask, like, we've been part of God knows how many these types of things. Do you think one of our flaws in this was being like, oh, you have to be in this guild or the other, and not being like, oh, guess what? Like, 19s are very unique in the sense that they have one hub. So you can be on any guild you want on that server, find the one that fits you, you get funded, go. Whereas opposed to, like, we'd be stuck on RP, we'd be stuck on Dewhammer, we'd be stuck on Uldaman. And if one person stops playing, it's like, wow, that can actually end everything we wanted to do. But now when you have the GG19 thing, it's, all right, we'll get you set up, we'll point you in the direction you want to go, and then they can literally find what fits them the best.
There it is. See, I think that, while I wouldn't call that a flaw specifically about the old versus the new way of doing it, it's so important that the twink community keeps innovating. And one of the big mistakes I see happen time and again, and one of the things that, frankly, I've done, this is a mistake I've made, where what works before will do again, and because it will work again. Sometimes that's true. Sometimes that's not. And it's up to the twink community to keep their radar up, to be like, you know what, this is what we thought was going to work before, but now it's not. And a great example of that was back in Wrath, how when the 29 bracket banned aim shot and the 39 bracket had a soft ban on sulfur on slammers, there was this kind of unwritten rule that, like, if we're going to get games, this is how it's going to go. Once all the brackets merged in Kata, though, people tried to instigate those same rules, except there were many more people who hadn't been playing in Wrath. So just because it worked before doesn't mean it was going to work again, and Kata really struggled with twinking. Fast forward to today, the Twink Cup is coming up, and there's a ban on ferals. The idea that that's been accepted as widely as it has because ferals have caused that many issues, and there are people who, from when I was listening in the last
There's
podcast,
always
like,
going to be a dissenter.
There's going to be dissenter, and that's good. That's healthy. There should always be challenges and dissension.
Absolutely.
Really keep that. And that's really good. But that's the thing. There's innovation happens with every expansion, with different brackets. That is what keeps a community alive and thriving, and what's really impressed me about this latest thing. If you had told me, oh, we're going to sponsor a bunch of twinks and let them go wherever they want, I'd be like, are you serious? There's no way.
Yeah, it is.
Wait, but
It's a
Rice,
really
how
weird
about this
concept.
too? And Bonds, I know I'm probably cutting you off right here on this, but it's like, not only are we sponsoring the twinks, but we're keeping a tab almost on what the Gulch looks like. So it's like, we talked about this last cast, and I know it's kind of a repeat, but I really do feel it's worth mentioning again. If the rogues are the main goddamn problem, and you have like 4 of them in a game, well, guess what we're not going to do? Completely fund you a rogue. You know what we will do? You know, fund you a mage. Maybe mage isn't the right class, but something the fuck else to help make the fucking games balanced. And that is something like, and Rise, you and I have done endgame a little bit. HB, you've done endgame a little bit. There's no such, even if someone went to you and he was like, oh, we're going to make our endgame super awesome push for RBG rating, guess what we're going to do? Limit classes that are awesome.
Yeah.
Really? Really?
Yeah. Right.
But since we have the ability, since it is all community, you can actually do those things. And it's not like, oh, it's just for me. No, fuck that. It's for everybody. It's for the betterment of whatever bracket that is.
It's a great way to subtly, not so subtly, it's a great way to help influence the bracket without doing the strong hand, you can't play this. Because as soon as you tell someone who's a twink, especially, where the whole goal is to min-max what you're doing, what they can't do, here comes the ire. And understandably so. But to be able to say, hey, look, I'll help you out if you help us out by playing classes that we need, That's a great stretch forward. And like
Yeah.
you were saying, HB, it's just like the fact that this would even come up. I'm like, it's an immense undertaking by Conk and everybody who's helped him.
Yeah.
But it also really shows how when one person sees an opportunity and then it encourages people to join up with that, it can just snowball into greatness.
You know what's one thing right now, and this is going to take us. I'm going to try to take us in a path a little bit more direct here. So,
Okay.
when you have all these new people coming into the bracket, a lot of exposure for the Twink Cup, a lot of exposure for the tournament, the summer, the activity.
This is going to be interesting.
There's a lot of reasons to play. There's a lot of people playing. There's a lot of different guilds out there. You have such diverse options into where you want to go and play. Not only guild-wise, but community-wise. People take into account like what kind of guild they want to join, what kind of leader they want to follow. And right now, specifically going off of that, we have a lot of different kind of leaders. And I think that while at the current moment there's probably 2 to 3 really good PvP Warsong leaders, there's a lot of really strong leaders that do other things. For example, Conk does a great job with the GG19 project. For the last 2 months, Mutando is someone who's been making a new guild on BH Alliance, Waka Flocka Seagulls, and he's made a pretty much brand new guild and community out of nowhere for a huge
Dude, I actually
majority of
was.
people playing in,
It's funny you say that. I was talking to a dude I play Hearthstone with, and he's like, "Yeah, I think we can move from tier 3 to tier 2, and maybe push tier 1." I was like, "I hope you do."
It's great because there's so many teams right now. It's really weird. I think that we were talking about community standpoint a while ago and how the people in the bracket hold you down. And I think people in the bracket, kind of how Rise was pointing, like they always innovate, not only on projects but just as a bracket, people innovate. And
But
think
also,
one of
I
the-
don't
hang
know
on,
if-
no. You gotta let me
Okay,
go.
go. Run,
So
run,
one
run,
of the
run!
things that 19s has in the past is one of the biggest innovations to keep everyone touched down in the bracket is drama. And I don't think anyone who can deny that, who's on the forums for Kata and Mob, could say differently. But
Well,
drama
let's be honest.
pretty
You're
much,
talking to Rise and I. We may have different opinions, but go ahead, Bunt.
but drama can hold you down, like for the 19 bracket, if that makes sense. That's what kept people who played 19s playing, is the drama, the guild feuds, the 1v1s, the player hatred, the arenas, whatever it was.
So there's basically a reason that we got.
So listen to this though. So here's
Alright.
here's a huge innovation turn in the community for 19s. The top 2 guilds right now in the 19 bracket are on really good terms with one another. Harvest and Skill Ratio are on really good terms with one another, and
No
that has
kidding.
not happened in a really long time in 19s.
Ever?
A really
Coming
long
from-
time. Yeah, but
I can say this honestly as someone I know that I'm just going back in my limited 19 history. No. It's like you're just like looking through the list and you're like, no.
No, and I don't mean to say that sound ignorant. I don't mean to say that to. It's just my opinion. But because of that, there's not so much focus right now on actual guild drama. Everyone's here. The focus right now is the Twink Cup, and that's so great. And I think that yes, there's some foreign drama going on for figuring out what we want to do and how we want the Twink Cup to be run and what rules we need to feel to be implemented. That's good discussion to be having, rather than personalities clashing on the forums over topics that are pretty meaningless. I mean, right now,
I have multiple thoughts on that.
When the focus right now is guilds preparing for the Twink Cup, you have a lot of people that are striving to get better, and there's a lot of people that are going out of their way to play other guilds and get practice. So it's a pretty friendly, competitive atmosphere right now, considering that it's a time in the bracket where guild leaders are coming to me asking me to have their guilds war game streamed because they want the community to see it. They want to be able to look back at it. It's good exposure for the bracket, and it's great to be able to have another opinion on what's going on in the game.
Yeah.
And you know, you ask someone to stream some games, some pre-mades from MOP or Kata, heck, I don't even know if the games would be streamed in the first place.
They wouldn't touch that.
No,
They wouldn't
and
touch that.
honestly-
The screenshots came out.
I
There's gonna be a
100%
whole-
know those.
Oh, you're right.
top-
The screenshots would cause a stink. Oh my god.
Yeah, exactly.
Dude. God, Rice, think about like, Okay, we're gonna go outside of 19s for a second, but just think about the 39s. Think about Velvet Coin Slot. Think about Foreign's Guild. Think about fucking Huago coming in there. Think about how much they would talk shit. And those are the people I love, by the way. But they would just talk shit to death. It doesn't matter. Like, they just talk shit. And like that's part of the reason, like you're saying, like 19s feed off the bullshit. And that's cool. That's cool.
No,
But
see,
when you have something like the Twink Cup coming, you can't have that. I mean, you can, I guess. I mean, it's...
No,
if
you
it's,
can, but if you have
can.
that, guess what? You're falling behind. And that's what
You're
people are
exactly-
realizing.
Yes,
Exactly.
yes. And it's going to not only hurt you, it's going to hurt everyone else competing.
Mhm.
And you're not going to be able to get what you need out of it.
Right.
You're going to just be playing people and be like, hey, what the fuck, what the fuck, what the fuck. Or you can actually get in. You can have some good teams coming in. And unless you're a coward, you want good teams coming in. You want the best people to play in this. Like, Buns, I know you and I have not spent this many hours of our life hyping up something that is going to be a letdown. We want all of it coming in.
Hey, man, you're
I
going
will
to...
say,
Oh, you go, Raj.
ahead.
You've been chomping. You've been chomping.
I've been chomping because this is a contrast that I had to really come around to over the course of my twinking years, and I can't believe it's been years. But I used to stay away from 19s because of the drama. I just couldn't stand. Like, you go to Twink Info, just look at the post count in every forum. Yeah, 19s are popular, but you go in there and it's just like, and it used to be that every other thread, I would say a good 70-80% of the threads were people talking
It
smack to
kind of
each
makes
other.
you want to...
Oh my god, it wasn't even just Twink Info. I want to be clear, like any place that had a chance to have Twink forums anywhere.
Oh, believe
that
me,
was that
when
time.
we
Don't
had forums alive on BIS Nation, it was way
Yeah, the
worse.
BattleNet forum is out of control. And
Yeah.
multiple people told me this is what 19s do. They feed off each other like this, and it helps propagate the bracket. And I'm like, there's no way this kind of sludge helps propagate the bracket. But I will say this. After playing in 19s and getting to spend some time in there, as much as I did not like playing in Pugs in 19s just because Pugs had that same feel as the forums, the summer of 19s blew my socks off. I was not there for that, but I got to read about it. I got to hear about it in the podcast. The fact that 19s
I was gonna say, that
went
was...
out of their way. They went out of their way to build a middle tier between the Pugs and the pre-mades by creating Pug maids that go crazy with Real ID. I don't think any other bracket has really taken it on like 19s had. So that to me was the proof of concept that when it comes time to step up, 19s are willing to help the community given the tools to do so. And
Well,
to
you
me,
know
it's no surprise that the Twink Cup is now time to step up again. So the drama is subsiding, and people are like, okay, we're going to do this for real. Let's get an entire funding marquee off the ground.
Well,
Right.
and it's weird too, Rise, because like you and I come from, like technically speaking, I come from 19s, but if anyone asks where I come from, it's 39s. But we come from the higher brackets and come down, and let's be honest, 39s have a stigma, or I'm sorry, 19s have a stigma. But I think it's been so difficult for people that play in those difficult other brackets, and it's been difficult for them to realize that stigma, it's become fact. And now we have things like the Twink Cup coming. And it's... Fuck, I probably shouldn't be saying this, so I'm going to say it anyway. It will be 100% legitimately recognized by Blizzard. So for any y'all people that are posting on TI, being like, oh, well, this ain't going to be a Blizzard sanctioned event. It is. And it has been for about 2 months prior to me saying this. Deal with it.
So long to just show how much the time and effort was legit that people put into this. Not that it need to be legitimized by Blizzard, but really.
But
it's
it makes a fucking difference to some people. Like, some people are being like, oh no, this is just a bullshit tourney. And you know what? Fuck the bullshit tourney. I don't care if Blizzard had anything to do with this. Merm did a lot of work.
Mm-hmm.
HB and I have done, I don't even want to say a lot of work, but we've just done our work. Other people have done work. And through what HB, myself, Merm, Pizza, other people have done, we have actually got Blizzard to take notice. And not just take notice, But be like, oh, yeah, what do you need us to do? We'll do it.
And I want to swing that back to what you were saying, HB, about the different leaders in there.
Yeah.
With so many people contributing, the diversity, and this is really important. I've seen this before. I've been in brackets, and specifically what comes to mind is there was a great free-to-play movement for a while last year over on Korgath. Kochi did a great job getting that off the ground. It was a tremendous experience.
It's funny that the three of us were...
got to be a part of that. But this happens a lot in twinking. Whether it's a particular bracket or a particular movement within a bracket, whether it's free to play, whether it's in 70s, getting the arena tournaments off the ground, you'll have one or two people really push for it. And the problem is, if one of those two, it's awesome for as long as they can sustain it, and then for whatever reason they need to disappear, and then blammo. What do you do from there? To see people really step up and to bring a diversity to 19s for this, to be like, okay, one person's really helping with the funding, one person's really helping with getting the tournament sponsors, one person's helping with the PR. All this 1+1+1 turns into a whole heck of a lot of people.
And you know what?
Oh man,
what pisses me off, and Buns, please fill in for me after, because I know you're gonna have some thoughts on this. It just pisses me off that it's like, Merm isn't responding to everything. No shit. If he did, this would be the worst thing ever. He could not possibly respond to everything. Like, Rice, think if you and I were trying to do a 29 revival and respond to every comment. Think how awful that would be. And then turn that into a tournament that actually has a legit prize pool, is going to have legit sponsors. And then just think if Blizzard was going to be watching, like, yeah, I think we're actually going to get behind this.
Without joking at all.
This is going to be our thing.
It would be a full-time job to do all
Dude,
that stuff.
It's insane. And then for, like, fucking, like, people on TI, and, like, it's, I say this, and I'm going to sound like an asshole, and I guess I'm just going to have to accept it at this point.
You've never done that.
Fuck you, Russ. But it's like, let's be serious here. It's like, everyone can't have a voice. You don't go to Adam Silver and you don't have fucking, I don't know, the fucking 5th round pick. And basketball doesn't have 5 rounds of the draft to kind of accentuate the point. Be like, oh yes, guess what, Adam Silver? This is how I feel it should be. No, you fucking don't. You kind of believe that that person is going to be smart enough to, I don't know, maybe not be an idiot, and then also listen to people that are smart enough and that are in tune with what's going on in the bracket, aka HB or Pita or someone else, and not just whatever random TI thread. It's like, if I was running this in Rise, like, think about you and I again. I'll bring it back to bringing back 29s, because I think that's one of the most accurate things that you and I can do it to.
Mm-hmm.
Let's bring back 29s, but you know what? The only way to bring back 29s was to listen to 17 threads of TI for roughly 50 pages each. And you have to respond to every single comment, and a comment is a question/comment, and respond to that and let them know how you need to do it and how it's going to be, and that's how the 29 bracket's going to work. No!
Okay. I got 2 things here.
I'm sure you have at least 3.
I got 2 comments from stream. So one is from Trip and Tricks. I don't think Blizzard will support Twink Cup because it's all directed from Twink Info and they openly have account selling. Shane is hidden.
Okay, he's wrong.
But you know they will know. I know, but
it's a legit question.
It is a legit question.
Legit question, but it's legit wrong.
But it is 100% going to be supported by Blizzard. The quotes haven't come out yet, but it's going to be 100% supported.
You can put this on Ubi. Says it's 100% supported.
The second thing that I got from stream is Pseudo Wudo was saying there's been questions being asked by multiple guilds and teams for 3 weeks now, and it's simply frustrating stuff. Be as frustrated as you want. At the end of the day, you're not participating in the tournament, and the rules and regulations aren't affecting your team's outcome. That's as real as it can get. So going off that, I'm going to start sharing my opinion and where I kind of stand with the whole thing.
I like that question. I like where you're going.
So, I have one person that has not seen eye to eye with Merm. The whole production of the community stream was just really poorly managed by Merm. And I have a really sour taste in my mouth still because of that. At this point, I'm actually debating if I really want to commentate or not because of how sour that taste is in my mouth. Going off of that, there's been a lot... I think what it ultimately comes down to is for how much Merm plays in the bracket, which is very limited, and how much he posts. Yes, he'll go on a post splurge once every 2 weeks and he'll shoot 10 posts off, but to not have him checking the forums or at least responding to some of the things coming up from it's I know hang on, you can't let me go here. It is frustrating.
I will 100% let you finish.
To have it's frustrating from the community's point of view that is playing on a day-to-day basis trying to get ready to not have questions answered that have been unanswered. Some questions for 2 to 3 months. Other questions, maybe they've been brought up in the past week or two. But I think that going forward, and I said this last week and I'm going to say it again, I think going forward it can still be implemented this year and it can be implemented next year. Merm needs more people to help him for how much he's playing in the bracket. He can't do it by himself. He needs other people that are reliable community leaders to help him make some of the decisions and give some give and take, ebb and flow. Because right now he just doesn't play enough to be making every single one of these decisions. At the end of the day, Merm, I think, has the same passion for 19s and the passion about the tournament being completed as everyone else. But we got to make sure that everyone is on the same page as where things need to be.
All right, Rise, I'm going to let you go after me, or actually before me.
I want to go before you, but you finish up, HP. But I want to back you up with both that you're saying on this.
I am really. There's some things I think that are looking really good for the Twin Cup. There's some major things that I'm still concerned about. I'm concerned about a few things. I'm concerned about ferals and arenas. I'm really the thing that I'm most concerned about that I don't think has been talked a ton yet. I am most concerned about the arena seeding going into Warsong Golds should not be the deciding factor for how a Warsong Gulch series ends.
Rise, you going first, or can I go?
Yeah, go for it. Go ahead.
All right. I think Merm actually answered this very well.
I saw it. I saw it as well, and I don't agree because.
But then, what's the point? What's the point of having an arenas then?
I understand where he's saying, and I understand it, but
Wait, Buns, actually, people listening won't all know what we're talking about, so explain what we're talking about.
You do the quote, and I'll tell you why I disagree still.
All right, fuck, I'm going to butcher this quote, so I'm sorry, but it's basically, if you're playing 19s, it's not all about Warsong Gulch. There is a little bit of arena factor. Your arena factor will play into how you are seated in Warsong Gulch. And if you have a really good arena team, that will benefit your Warsong Gulch team. But don't mistake the fact that 19s are only about Warsong Gulch.
Okay. Going off of that, there's no money being rewarded for winning the arenas.
Yeah, it's like 1/10 of it.
I don't think is there even any at this point?
No, there's going to be like 1/10 of, actually it might even be less than that, but there is still going to be money left. And Buns, what I said when we were talking last week, if you don't feel that's the best way to do it, have a way that's better.
The way that I think, I understand for seeding purposes, you need a way for teams to be seeded going into that. And I think that that's fine. It can determine who plays who. But I think that there's more productive and there's different alternatives that you can make to implement which team wins in a Warsong Gold series. So let me give you an example. Let me give you an example. So one thing that we were talking about last week is I think the first thing that should be looked at in a series is if one team wins one game, another team wins another, and it's a 0-0 tie, because that's the only way to tie at this point.
But then how do you...
Listen, you gotta let me talk still. That should be the first deciding...
God damn it, Bond!
No, I know, because we talked about this last week. We still have to let me make my points. The first deciding factor for how it should be decided is the team that had more caps in the series should win the series. So if
Okay,
one
but
team
Buns, I am
Okay,
going
fine.
to stop you right
Go.
there. How do you determine the initial seedings?
Arenas.
That's the whole point. Yes. So then, what's the problem with that?
What do you mean?
I thought that's what we were talking about, like the initial seedings. Like that's where arenas comes into play.
Yeah, and I think
And
that's
if we're-
fine. But I'm saying
Okay.
that's fine. I have an issue with the fact that the arena seedings should not it's fine if it determines who you play, but if how you do in arenas determines how your team fares in Warzone Gulch, I think there's like a big disconnect there.
Good for seed, bad for tiebreaker.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, absolutely. That's my opinion, but I mean everyone's gonna have a different opinion there. I really think it is like there's other things that can be measured in the series. Because I mean, if all the hype is for really the Warsong portion of this tournament, you should have factors that were decided in that series of who should win. And I think that the first thing you can look at is which team had more flag caps. That's an easy thing to look at. I mean, obviously the circumstance comes up that the first 2 games the team's tied in caps, and the third game it ends 0-0. And then you're gonna have to look at something else at that point. I'm not sure what that something else is, but it's a place to start at least, because I think flag caps would be an easy first place to say that's the first thing that decides if you play.
What's cool to me about this is that if these are the biggest concerns, getting these little details hashed out, that's how far the planning and the organization of the cup has already come.
Thank you,
That's
Raz.
fantastic. So I think it's cool. Like, I want to be clear. Like, are these concerns that need to be addressed? Clearly. I mean, people are talking about it, and the community's doing a great job, it sounds like, of really pointing out there's like, hey, there's concerns here. But to be at this level, I'm like, hot diggity, it's 2 months away, and it's coming down to the details.
It's getting so insane. And this is one of the things that I also find insane. And HB, let me know how you feel about this. It's like you have people that really aren't even members that have been a part of this community coming in and trying to impose rules. And then they just throw something and that sticks. And it fucking rides. And people are riding it at this point, I don't know, 6 to 7 pages on TI. And it was nothing. It was nothing before just some dude came, threw it out there, and they're like, oh yeah, that was something that's obviously needs to be fixed. But it's people that have been playing 19s for so long, and then someone that hadn't played 19s came in, said it, freestyled their option, and was like, hey, guess what? You probably shouldn't be doing this. And then the entire community is like, yeah, you know what? Shouldn't be double stacking. Shouldn't be triple stacking. Should be weapon swapping. What the fuck?
I think that no matter what final rules they come up with, as long as there's rules that be like, okay, we've got the rules, we know what's legit, what's not, people will adjust to that context. That's why I'm excited about being at the detail level, where it's like, if it really, these are the minor details, and I say minor, I understand that they could be a really big deal. It's entirely possible that 2 teams go 0-0 for 3 straight games. The possibility is there. But we're at a point now where it sounds like, hey, that's a possibility, but we've already got everything else in place so that that detail is what we've got left to be going back and forth about. That, to me, is really impressive. And I wanted to touch something on you said, HB, earlier about, and again, I want to clear, I have not been involved with any of this 19 stuff, but it reminded me so much of issues past in other brackets about this, how Merm isn't spending a lot of time in games. That is so true to history. I could bring you a list of names of people who, when they got involved with a bracket, either an event...
Please tell me you're about to bring up
or the
Bazik
organization.
39, so one of the best 39 revivals. He played 1 game and then just said, no, I'm done.
Right? This happens all the time. It happened with Kochi and free-to-plays. It happened with Bazik. It happened with... oh, God, who was the guy over in... it happened with...
It's happened many times at 29s,
The
39s, and
29 guy.
possibly 49s as well.
Yeah, I mean, it happens in all the brackets where when someone gets involved with the organization because either they excel at it, they have fun with it, or whatever, they will spend more time playing World of Warcraft by virtue of doing organization, forum work, organizing games, than they will spend doing the actual game itself. This happens time and time again. Who is the M guy that did all the stats in 29s?
Mead.
Mead, thank you. Mead. So Mead is like, he even wrote an add-on to help track games. And like, that was, this is, my point to this is history repeating itself in a positive way.
Yeah.
People, you can be concerned, like, well, if you spend all this time working on the bracket but not actually playing, all work and no play makes for someone that's out of touch. Not
Dude,
necessarily.
we're all Jack Nicholson trying to beat down a door, right?
Oh my gosh, Jesus.
It's like, so to me, this is a good example of where if you are putting a lot of work in, somebody like Merm or like Mead or like Bazik is going to be in touch with the people playing as well to get a survey of what's going on. But also, it's almost like listen to the Blizz developers, where everyone's telling Blizz developers what's broken and be like, well, if we fix it in the way that you say you want it to be fixed, you don't realize it's going to break other stuff.
And that's how I feel about TI. And Buns, honestly, I don't want to say anything more than that. How do you feel about that?
I have a mixed opinion. I think that... You want to hear my real opinion?
No, Buns, I asked for your fake opinion.
Okay, I'll give you my fake opinion.
I would really appreciate if you gave me your fake opinion, because that's exactly what I asked for.
Okay. Here's my fake opinion.
Okay.
I think that the tournament is going to go poorly.
Really?
Yeah. I think that unless... yeah, I'm going to come out and say it. I think it's going to go poorly at this state.
Okay.
I think that we have 2 months still to get this on a better track. I think if Merm has to venture through this journey the entire weekend alone, I think that there's going to be a lot of kinks to come up, and it's just a lot to ask out of one person. Like, just very basic, like, right down to that. Like, you're talking about right now that there could legitimately be, like, 8 to 12 teams playing this year, and you're asking one person to manage that in the entire tournament. And from my experiences at this point, with Merm, it just doesn't... I'm not sure... He's not being very transparent on what he wants to do to take measures to ensure the Twin Cup as well. No.
Do you...
Okay, yeah, sure. What are you saying?
Well, do you think that maybe he kind of envisioned the fact like, shit, this might have been too much. Maybe the Gamers League can help out?
I think that here's the issue. And I'm always going to say this. I'm going to have an issue with the Gamers League thing. I said before, I still have a bad taste in my mouth, and I'm considering commentating at this point.
Well, I think if
that's just one of the
TI
issues
is anything, there's a few people on TI that are like, hey, HB he's done some good things. He would be a fantastic person to commentate.
It doesn't have to do anything with that. I think I've made
No, but it's fine. I know you didn't want to fucking call yourself out on that, but I'm going to call you out for it. But you're also going to be one of the people playing. So let's say the Gamers League is taken out, right? Who else is going to take care of all of the things that we would like of that to happen? Especially considering that the number one commentator, the most skilled commentator in the 19 bracket, is also probably the guild leader of, let's say, 1A of the best chance to win the cup.
I think that here's the issue. I'm gonna just say this because I have to give the full story for everyone to understand where it's at.
Of course.
So, prior to Merm announcing that Gamers League was going to be, it pretty much looked like Gamers League was going to be hosting the streaming portion of the tournament. There had been contact made with individuals, Nudge, and Nudge extended to recruit players to basically run a stream.
Did you guys know with Muskie at all?
Yeah, and so we had Nudge had talked to me about it. I was on board. We were looking to get our commentating together. Muskie had come on board, who does League of Legends commentating for Canada Esports, and he also has a production crew.
Why I was asked about that.
So he had his production crew ready to go to help run the stream, etc. It was pretty much all set to go, and then without contacting, when we in the background are trying to contact Merm on TI, don't get responses for weeks, and then he comes out and posts this about Gamers League, it left a really sour taste in all of our mouths, and especially Nudge, who had been trying to get in contact with Merm, who basically left him off the hook and told him Gamers League was basically going to run the tournament. So,
but I have a question for you, Bonds.
Okay. Well,
I'll let you finish and then I'll ask.
No, ask your question. And I'll tell you why Gamers League, I think, is going to do a poor job.
You know what? Maybe they will do, maybe they won't do. But considering like last year, we learned some things, right? That's a fair statement. We had our hiccups. We learned some things. We're working forward. You've been commentating on games. As I said, it's a very fair statement to say you've gotten very good at it. And I think the only thing that people had to say in commentary was like, Buns needs someone else just because you can't be everywhere at the same fucking time.
Yeah, but I mean,
so
sure.
Let me finish.
Okay. You're just being slow here. I'm ready to go. Come on now.
So what I'm saying is, it's like and when we were talking about what we want the cup to be, right? We're talking like, oh, we want these like sports center type things. We want the intermediate things between games. We want like a little bit of all that and all of this. We have someone that can come in there and do it. And if you are able to come in there and just jump in there with them between games, makes it a kabillion times better. If for some reason Nudge can come in there, like the games that you guys aren't playing, well, I guess he's going to be on your team, so that doesn't really work, but let's assume he's on a different team, makes it so much better. Why not learn from this time? Learn from people that have done this, have actually put on full legit events, and then take that experience and think what we can do year 3. Why think so shorted as just year 2? Like, why do we have to think like it's only like this is gonna be the last year?
No, I know.
Why not learn
I think it
from
is
the
going to be
people?
a repetitive thing. I think that this whole thing is built to be repetitive. The fact, though, that there's a lot of things I'm upset about. I don't think Merm's transparent at all. I think he comes out and says things that...
All right, well, we're going to disagree. I'm just going to say this right now. We're just going to disagree.
I don't think Merm's transparent. And I think that he does come out and he makes comments after it's been hammered into the ground for so long, and it's his own personal decision. It's not advised by anyone else that plays in the...
So who else's decision should it be?
I think that, like I said earlier, there needs to be a council of people.
So
you know what's so funny?
Who do you think should be the council?
Hang on. Let me interject something here.
Yeah.
I want to point out that these questions of transparency, communication, and leadership, whether it's joint or single, are exactly the right questions that any organization, and it's kind of funny to call a twink bracket an organization, but these are the kinds of questions that they face. So I'm butting in here because I don't want this to get too far off track on the specifics on whether Merm should do this or not do this, or whether there should be a council or not be a council. And just saying the phrase twink council makes me giggle inside.
Dude, Raj, just think if we had a 39 twink council.
Yeah.
Guess who was leading that shit? You and I, motherfucker.
So there it is. So there's going to be people at various measures of the community. We are 2 months out from the Twink Cup. Anytime you have an event, like I'm going to be really generic here, but this is pretty true. This is usually the storm before the calm, where things always look dark. It's like, well, you see all those final loose threads, like, oh, it could go bad here, it could go bad there. HB, I think you've got a good point. Given what you see today, there are some wrap-up questions that really need to be answered if things are going to go well. This is the time to answer them.
But
this is exactly where things should be.
I don't think Merm would have put enough time into, let's face it, round 2, considering how poorly round 1 finished, to bring it out again and not actually... You know what? I don't know for a fact, but I'm willing to bet that Merm actually reads all that shit, and he reads it and he's like, my head's gonna explode. I hate so many fucking people right now, but amongst all of those people that I hate, there's probably a nugget of positive information. And I don't know, because I don't know Merm that well, and I don't know what he's thinking, but I feel like he's smart enough to know if he's fucking got an Indiegogo where we have $7,000 of which has been donated, where he's gonna be like, yeah, I'm just gonna, fucking, whatever happens, happens. I cannot believe that that's the case.
I think that it's I guess, and I want to be real clear when I say this. I'm not trying to diminish what everyone said here. I'm just saying I don't think it's that big a deal in the sense that whether Merm calls the shots or a council calls the shots, whether the communication's there or not there, everyone's learning their lessons about how to do this organizationally. They're learning what works, and they're learning what works for them, which goes back to the diversity you were talking about, HB. It's people got to work together with different styles of how they want things to move forward. And these kinds of disagreements are exactly what fuel the ideas and the innovation that have gotten us this far. So to me, I'm like, yeah, there's some legit questions that are coming out. There's some legit
And Bonds,
questions.
actually, I don't want to discredit your questions because you have good ones. Here's
what I'm gonna say. I'm gonna laugh when the Saturday of when we queue the first game, a level 100 queues the spectator games, and they don't go through. I'm gonna laugh when
Bonds,
they don't have the XP turned on. And the
Bonds, how can you say that when we've spent the past fucking 5 weeks talking about pumping up the Twink Cup?
No. But look, here's what it is. Here's what I am. I think that the community, the 19 community as a whole, has done a tremendous job at promoting the Twink Cup, and I'm still excited about the Twink Cup. But I don't feel like, okay, so I'm actually completely fine with Gamers League doing it. I'm not going to be associated. I pretty much cast myself. I don't really want to be associated with that anymore because of what's happened. But I will say this: if you had to tell me right now the Gamers League was going to come in and host the 19 tournament and do a good job at it, I would tell you there's absolutely no way. For various reasons, just little things like I said. You have to have 19 with your XP queued on to queue the game. You have, like, what do you know what's going on? Do you know what camera shots you need to be getting? Do you actually know what to be paying attention to? And hang on, while I think that all these things could be solved if you had someone communicate with them about the meta of the bracket, that's not happening. And that's what I'm trying to highlight. There's not enough action being taken in my point of view for 2 months out. So I don't know. I don't feel like really helping either at this point. Like I'm pretty upset about it. I got me really upset, and there were a lot of people that pretty much, we got. It depends where you look at it. If you see it from my point of view, it's kind of a sellout. Like, you have a community project that went from all being community to, for publicity purposes, just completely went to Gamers League. And I think that they do their tournaments at Endgame very well, and I think that they do a good job managing and running the tournament, etc. I think that they're going to need guidance from the 19th community for it to work, and I just don't see that connection going to happen or being made at this point.
Well, I guess that's kind of our dissonance, where I think that Gamers League is going to come in and they're going to give the brackets and the tournament way more publicity than could ever have happened without it. However, I also think if they don't include, say, well, you can't obviously commentate on the games you're playing. And Nudge is going to be on your team, so obviously that's not included. So this issue's Muskie as the person. Like, if they don't include someone that knows the meta, then I will agree with you 100%.
Because you know what? Going off of this, just to also for clarity's sake, holy cow, we kind of went off topic here, but
but guess what? Guess Rise, really? First time ever.
But anyways, so
Merm,
one thing I'm happy about is, in the last 24 hours, Merm has come out and responded to people. He just kind of had a breakout day. Which is good. I think it's good for him to come out and start saying these things, like what he thinks. And he came out and he was pretty clean about it. He was like, I think that I'm going to have Farrell banned from the arena tournament at this point. It's pretty unpredictable. He said that he's pretty much not going to be able to do Crusader stacking. I think it's ridiculous to be able to account people and track that for everyone. So he's come out and he said a few things. He also came out and said that, he reiterated actually, since before, that Gamers League's going to have one main commentator from their group. They're going to have one permanent commentator from the 19 channel, and then you're going to have a rotating commentator from the 19. So
then what have we been arguing about?
Listen. Okay. A lot. A lot. No, a lot. And I'm being serious. This is not.
I know you are.
Funny. I really don't think this is funny.
All right.
No, I get that you did a UB sigh, and I was just like, oh my god, HB did a UB sigh.
I don't think it's funny. I think it's like when he came out a few weeks ago, and he listed off all the commentators that he had lined up to be twink commentators. It was a joke, and I don't mean to say that to offend anyone, but you're talking about people that haven't like done commentating once in their life or practice. I think the only people that were legitimate on that list that he had out there was probably myself and Muskie, and like maybe Pizza. Like, I don't think anyone else on that list could hold their own.
So,
especially if you're saying the Gamers League's going to come in and we're going to have credible people that can hold their own on a platform where thousands of people are going to be watching live. Like, I would find it hard.
Both and I both know there's going to be a shit ton of motherfuckers watching live.
Oh yeah. I don't think the technicalities have been worked out. That's what I'm saying.
Well, it's just weird. And Rise, I'm going to cut you off for just a second, and then please tell me how I'm wrong in 18 different ways.
Okay.
But it's... I feel like HB, you and I are kind of arguing the same thing, but a different thing at the same time. It's like... I think it's awesome that the Gamers League is going to be in there. I really do. Mm-hmm. But I think you, Muskie, Nudge, or a approximate individual needs to be there with them. And I think one of the things that is very unfortunate for the 19 bracket is that you kind of encompass everything. You're the leader of one of the top guilds. You're, well, if TI is to be understood, the best person to commentate. And let's be honest, we've been doing this podcast for how the fuck long, so you're probably the best person to talk.
Talking is a good habit.
So who the hell else can do it? No, I mean, like, seriously, like, who else can do it?
No,
and like, you should be the person to do it.
But you have to listen.
And they need someone from the 19 bracket with them, because there's no...
That's what I'm arguing. We're not really arguing on the same thing. You just nailed it on the head if that's what you think, because that's how I think.
I know, that's what I was saying. We're arguing the same thing, but we're just being assholes against each other.
Well, I'm just... Look, like, I think we can come on the same agreement here that, like... The big thing for me is I definitely, like, I did not have a good interaction with Merm behind the scenes, and I pretty much come out publicly now and said what happened and why I'm not on good terms with him. But at the end of the day, like, you know, I agree. Like, but if you told me right now that you had that list of commentators that were set to, like, commentate these games alongside Gamers League, I would tell you they do a shit job. Like, even people that play in 19s. Like, I think
you know what's so fucking weird in Rise? Follow me up on this. It's like Rise. If we're playing 39s and you and I are playing a Resto Chamois, there's a certain way to do it. But if you're playing 19s, completely goddamn different. But there's no way, if we didn't have that 19 experience, that we could actually give any real
perspective.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yep.
I mean, there's just no way to do it. And there's no way that the Gamers League, and like, they just can't unless they're there and they know how the meta works, they know how the classes interact. Like, I'm willing to bet that they can have the best color dude possible. However, I'm willing to put, I don't know, bisnation down on the block that there's not a chance in hell they're not going to have the best play-by-play at 19.
All right. So here's the thing, and I want to get us back on topic here, and I'm hoping this will help get us back there. The Twink Cup is going to happen. So with that in mind, and the cool thing is everybody, the last 15 minutes has been about how everybody wants what's best for the Twink Cup. That's the unifying
factor. It really
factor.
is. Yeah.
And
absolutely.
There's conflicting ways. There's conflicting ways to get there. Like, what one person thinks is a good way, this other person thinks maybe not the best way, and so forth. But I mention this because it's entirely possible that come the Twink Cup, I'm going to be watching this stream, and someone's going to get on a level 100 to help queue this. Or someone's going to forget to do that. You know, this could happen. It will not stop. I mean, it may hold up, and it's going to be like, okay, well, hey, by the way, we got to go get this and that. You know, no matter what happens, no matter how well prepared or how ill prepared any particular organization is, there's going to be snafus here and there. That happens in a production. You try and iron as many of those out as possible. So the key question here, to me, is given that the Twink Cup is going to happen, and given that regardless of whether it's Merm calling shots on that or delegating that to somebody else, or however this may play out for the community and so forth, how do you, and when I say you, I mean that as the royal you, I mean it's all 19s.
Did you really just go royal we on us?
I totally did.
Oh my.
You know, it's just like, how do you contribute? The vast majority of us are going to be watching on streams. A few of us are going to be contributing that.
Dude, Rise, remember when we were watching the stream and it was HB, you have to help me out here. The chamois that just charged in.
Oh, that was so beautiful.
It was the greatest thing that Rise and I has ever seen in our entire life.
Revo.
Yes.
Oh my god.
That's the things we're going to be watching for, and we're all going to be watching.
Yeah. So
but wouldn't it suck if you didn't see that camera point of view because you don't know what's going on?
But see, HB, I mean, you say that in a way that's like, I feel like it's going to be digging into me, but I agree with you on that. And I really do think, like, I think that Gamers League there is good.
Yeah.
But I also think that you, and the thing that sucks is that you basically fill every single fucking thing that we need for this. But you can't be 6 people at once. So someone like Muskie needs to step up, take that role.
He's also playing in the tournament on a team.
Oh, see, now you just fucking everything up.
There's gonna be
someone else has to be there. Like, you guys switch out whatever it is, but I do think the Gamers League is a good thing. I'm aware that we disagree on that.
No, I don't think it's. Here's the thing. I think that how Merm let's final word from HB on this topic. I think how Merm handled the Gamers League was absolute dog shit. I think that Gamers League, now that Gamers League is hosting the tournament, I think that it's fine, and I think it's good publicity for the bracket that they are hosting the tournament. It's going to be how the technicalities are handled that I am extremely concerned with now that it's being hosted by Gamers League.
Well, Buns, the things that we were worried about, if they are, like, all the things we're worried about, I'm assuming at least, they've been there. They've experienced the fuck-ups, and they can handle it. So why would it not be better for us, especially you and myself, Buns, to learn from that, and for next year be like, oh god, we now know what to do. We saw how people do it that actually get paid to do it.
I'm hearing HB that you're saying that yes, they have the pro experience, but it'd be nice to see how they're going to customize that to 19 specifically.
Yes. And
I'm salty as fuck.
Oh, you know what I have not realized? That you're salty.
Like, there is literally like, whew,
like, there was only vinegar on your chips.
There's no sweat
salt
actually coming out. It's being absorbed by the
God, I wish salt. I actually should have just went. I actually wish I had the. Oh God, the film on there, so we could just both be sitting there, being like, "Motherfucker!"
All right, so that we're 20 minutes into this. Do we want to get back on to where we were before?
I actually think we're like 30 minutes down that path. That was a long path. And I don't know. I guess.
But like, it's a good path to go down because it's. I mean, if we spent that much time on it.
You like? Here's my thing. I guess this is really my final thing I have to say. So like, your opinion is kind of that. Let's see how the Gamers League goes this year and see if we can learn from it. Because they're gonna give us, they'll give us good things. They'll give us bad things.
Mm-hmm.
I just think the bad things are predictable. And like, I'm sitting here telling you what I think the bad things not. And like,
but are the bad things not what you just expected, regardless?
What do you elaborate on that?
What are your bad things you expected?
I'm expecting that the commentators. First off, I think the commentator from Gamers League will do a great job at just like filling words. But I mean, anyone can do that if they're like experienced and comfortable talking in front of people. But it's the content of what they're actually talking about and applying it.
Well, this is why.
Listen, hang on, let me go. I don't feel comfortable in the people that are going to be the twink commentators to go with and associate, like be the co-host. Like, sure.
Right, so how are the twink commentators like going with being decided? Because it seems like that is one of.
That's like. Right.
It seems like that's like one of the most crucial things out of all of this, and in a weird way, like I would be like, oh god, there's a whole bunch of rules that need to be decided and all that shit. But in a weird way, I think the way it's presented is way more important than anything. And whom is going to be the 19 representative is absurdly important.
Absolutely.
Because that person needs to be able to not only explain what's going on, but fucking understand it.
Mm-hmm. And I think what Groshanks just said in stream was like a great quote to kind of this year's expedition into the Twink Cup. If we had an open line of communication, 90% of the shit wouldn't be brought up. Think about all the stuff.
Oh, that's interesting. But you know what else I think? It's Rise. I would like to hear your thoughts on this. I've done a lot of trying to organize things in this game in my life. In Rise, I know you have done as well. And one of the most annoying and difficult things you can do is try and please everybody. God forbid you listen to 17 threads that go 10 pages each, and I'm just throwing out random numbers here, and respond to every one. I think, and again, it's just going from what I've experienced, Merm is responding to what needs to be responded to, and I hope finding a way to ignore all of that bullshit that is coming in between.
There's, I think, a difference, and I want to be real clear here, that I have not been reading the threads. I'm making a generic response based on bracket history. I don't know Merm, I don't know 19s and so forth, right? But there's a point where the arguments that go back and forth are about the details of what should or shouldn't happen, because it's kind of like when people... Back when 29s were arguing, and believe me, they argued the whole time on Wrath about whether being shot should be allowed.
Did they really? Did they?
Oh my gosh, right? But the argument was about what the effective aim shot in the 29 bracket. The ban was already in place, and the ban was upheld for months. But the argument went back.
Dude. You can be nasty. It's fine. What you want to do?
It was ongoing. But that's where the argument was. The argument wasn't about, well, what do I do, or is there under certain circumstances? If it would help to step up some communication to be able to be like, hey, all right, here's some details that would answer some basic questions about whether it's happening, with understanding that may change in the future. If ferals are all of a sudden not allowed in arenas, so be it. Okay, that's a change. We get it. That's the kind of communication I hear, HB, that you're asking for and what people are asking for in here in chat. I get that you can't keep up with every last thing going in every thread because, like somebody said in chat before, Merm's got a life. You can't carry this whole thing.
Dude, it's like, even like me, like I wake up from my wedding hungover as fuck, and I'm like, oh, I guess I have at least a half hour in the car. I can't even catch up hungover as fuck while I'm getting a ride home from Philly to Westchester. Like, I can't even catch up with that shit. You expect Merm to really read all of that shit? No!
So
like, I don't know.
To help him.
Well, there it is, right? And so, but that's...
And Buns, yes, you're in a roundabout way bringing it back to what you originally wanted at the very start of this. But I also think that...
this is an organization.
If you...
it needs that,
The people that need to know, I feel like, no. That's the way I feel about it.
I understand what you're saying, UB, in the sense that where it's like, look, there's only so much Merm can do, and Merm's got...
I'm just going to have to play you in Hearthstone later.
Oh my god.
But I think that HB's... You got a legit point there where it's like... And this
he does.
Goes back to what people argue about with WoW devs all the time, where it's like the blue posts come out, and it's like, well, it's nice to see that once every 6 months in a particular thing. Yes, the WoW devs blue post every freaking day. But the fact is, an ongoing complaint with the WoW community is it's not the point that it's every day. It's that there are questions.
It's just the point it hasn't been answered.
For years, that stuff goes on.
No, and that's God damn it! I hate conceding this, but yeah, you're right. And Buns, your initial point is, in this sense, correct.
Yeah. So that's the issue that I think that would. Murm would do himself a favor by being able to address some of the stuff that comes up on it, but sounds like a repetitive basis there. And I'm not saying this to criticize Murm, because holy crap, taking this whole thing on is a huge deal.
Well, dude, think about this. We would not be having this conversation. Buns, you and I would have talked about different things for the past, 20 podcasts.
Right.
I mean, it's all because of Murm. This whole fucking 19s are working because of fucking Murm.
Right. And I think going back
That
like
should be a
full
t-shirt.
circle here, it's like, we're talking about, well, before we really got into this, we were talking about how driven everyone is for the Twink Cup. And we just spent 45 minutes diverting off talking about the Twink Cup and how we want to
shit.
and things that we think need to be implemented, and everyone's got their own opinion on how the Twink Cup's going to work. And that's healthy discussion to be having. That's healthy arguments to be having. So what we just had right now was a very healthy argument.
Yeah.
Very productive. Very.
And what was the topic we were supposed to talk about?
Right.
No. But here, like, we can start going full circle with this into what you were saying. It's
Okay.
like, right now in 19s, there's a lot of people that are taking actions. Murm being probably the number one guy. He's doing the Twink Cup. He's hosting the Twink Cup. He's making this a reality. I feel like I sit here kind of as like the black sheep, and a lot of the times I'll be the one to go out and like criticize or like point things out that I think need to be adjusted. And I think that me and Murm don't always see eye to eye on things, and sometimes we do, especially on the forums. But if you
Don't be the Stephen A. Smith.
If you don't have people bringing up your concerns, then you're not doing anyone justice.
There it is. That's
I
really
agree 100%.
So going
Like,
back,
I don't think.
Well, going like
What I was
oh.
Go ahead, Buns.
I guess what I was saying is like full circle. It's really healthy that we have, people really concerned about the tournament, and it shows that not only is the leader of this tournament passionate, the community leaders are passionate, the players in the bracket, the guilds are passionate, the teams are active, everyone wants to be a part of the tournament. It's going to be a fun time. We've got attention from World of Warcraft. We've got attention on the forums from anywhere from the
We
WoW
have
forums to
the
Arena Junkies.
head. I'm not going to say anything more. Go ahead.
Yeah.
I feel like I said too much already.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've got pretty much everyone's on board. Everyone from World of Warcraft to Gamers League, everyone is on board, and it's coming around to be like a very serious tournament. It's just for all
Big deal. And because
go ahead.
I'm not
gonna say the but, because then we're just gonna go back into it. So you do have the passion here. You got everyone looking forward to it, and it goes back to show and reflect what a healthy state 19s is in right now. You got people like Soda Pop in. We have Parties Over, the RBG team, looking to come in and make teams for the tournament. You know how many fucking people are going to be watching this if Soda Poppin' plays in the tournament?
Yeah. And here's the thing. Like, this is people attracting people. This goes back to what started this podcast that you all pulled me in here for, where it's...
Oh, I'm sorry, Rise.
Right? Dragged me through 40 minutes of the Twink Cup. Not salty.
And didn't even talk about it. All right, actually, we did a little bit.
Right. So here it is. It's like, there's that so many people have put their time and effort into this, and because of that, attracted so many other people. This is the guts of twinking in World of Warcraft. This is what makes the big impact, and it's what kept me in it for years. It's why I still stay in contact with people I used to twink with. This is why I play the games with people. It's why I've helped people doing stuff way outside of World of Warcraft. I mean, just all kinds of stuff that's just like...
You somehow figured out a way to bring it back home.
This is the why. This is the capital W-Y. And people ask where it's like, hey, so you spend a lot of time playing World of Warcraft and you're not doing it right now. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not doing it right now, but the benefits and the effects and the impact years later, even after starting, it's just like, it's so huge in so many ways.
Senior 9.
Oh my gosh, it's phenomenal that way, and I have the twinking community to thank for that.
Buns, bring it home.
I think it's great right now that we have such a unified community focused really on pretty much one event that looks to be a repetitive annual event, and it's great that not only it has brought the bracket together, it's brought other projects together, it's made guilds, it's made communities, It's made friendships, and it continues to do so. And it's one of the driving forces right now for not only twinking in its entire existence, but for the people that play within the community. And it's just a great overall environment to be in the 19 bracket, in the Twink Cup. You know, it gives people a home. You know, what are you doing this summer? Like I tell people, like, if someone's going to ask me where I'm going to be the 28th or the 31st to August 2nd, I'll tell them I'm going to be playing in the Twink Cup. I'm playing with my buddies. We're playing for $7,000.
You know, one of my favorite things
there's nothing to be ashamed
I've
about.
ever heard. No, one of my favorite things I've ever heard, Rise. Yeah, tell me how you feel about this. When HB said, "This is my home."
Right? Oh man, that brought back so many memories. And HB, you're spot on. You're spot on, HB.
I mean, I think that, like, people should realize, like, for how much effort that has been put in, everyone is so dedicated. Like, I'll tell people, like, if they ask me where I'm going to be the July 31st, August 2nd, I'll be like, I'm locked in my attic. I'm going to be locked in my attic. I'm going to have 3-day supplies worth of food up there.
You're going to have that terrible Derrick Rose thing. He's going to be, like, holding his knee.
Oh,
and, well, you know that shit's going to be broke.
Oh man!
You can just pull that out just to pull it out. That really wasn't a good reference.
Yeah.
I had to shit on you for Derrick Rose. Yeah, I had.
Well, I noticed that. Yeah.
Clearly.
Thank you for demeaning my
right,
favorite team.
throw a bun on this as Tibbs gets fired. And what's up?
Twin Cup hype 2015. Harvest's going to be in the tournament. Looking forward to competing. Looking forward to repping the guild tag. Looking forward to playing with my buddies. Thank you, the twinking community, for giving me a home and for giving a home to so many other people.
And let's thank Rise for joining the cast. And we will see you guys next week. And Rise, are we going to have a special edition Chamois cast?
Special edition chamois cast? That'd be awesome.
It may be coming. We'll see what happens. Anyway, check out Fear the Buns, Twitch, and Twitter. Find BS Nation at all the normal places. Find Rise at Wapo. And we'll catch y'all next week.
Peace.
See you on the field.